I like working from my left to my right. That way I can keep the same looping that I did. So what you want to do is wax the end of your serving, and you want to measure about an inch in. So that would be right here. And you want to do the same thing where you lay the serving strand down, and then what you do is you bring your serving up and in and around, and then you want to loop this a couple times, as you can see right here. If you can see, you want to loop it a couple times just to get it started. Pull that tight, and then I usually go about 4 or 5 wraps, and then pull it tight. Go ahead, you take your loose end and you pull that tight through. And what I do is you go ahead and you just start wrapping. Now, if you use the tie plate string server, you're gonna have a lot easier time doing this. Because my server is taller, as you can see here, I'm actually having to really bring it around to avoid getting stuck on anything. So I just need to bring this around, and then you want to just continue wrapping all the way down to about 6 inches. Right, so once I've wrapped all the way down to the end of my loop here, as you can see, this is where the loop ends. I take my loose end here, pull it tight, and then I just snip it to kind of give the string a cleaner finish. And then I go ahead and I just continue wrapping all the way to the bottom. Now when I get to about here, this is when I can kind of force the server underneath, and then I just serve the string like normal. Okay, so now that you've gone down 6 inches, what you want to do is, I usually pull off about 2 feet of material, because my end loop here, and I do the same thing I did before with the other loop. So you can see, once I get my finger out of the way, you make this loop here, and you just want to wrap in. So this time I'm going to be wrapping about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, just so that this end wrap is really good and it won't come unraveled. Because if this spot comes unraveled, what will happen is the serving will just come apart, and then your bowstring is just going to flop off your bow. Now with the way I tighten strings, where I twist them or untwist them, what happens is that you end up loosening the serving over time. So I like having a lot of serving, that way if the serving does undo itself, I can simply do what I'm doing right now to the loose end, and I have plenty of extra material to work with. This is just the way I do my strings. It makes the strings a little heavier, so they're a little less performance. But a string like this is probably not going to break on you. Right. So once you've gone ahead and you've wrapped around that much, what you want to do is you want to tuck the end under. You see my loose end's tucked under. And then you just want to wrap this loop around tightly. You want it to be really secure. Then you take the loose end, pull it through, pull this really, really tight. And then you go ahead and you snip your loose end. And so here you have one finished string loop. Here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the exact same thing to this loop. So I'm not going to show you guys this because this is exactly the same thing. If you want, you can just, go backwards to the last section and follow along. I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing here. There's nothing different. So when I'm done with this, then I'm going to show you what we do after both loops are served. Alright, so once you've finished your loop, you have both of your loops. Basically your string is finished. So now there's a couple of things that you need to do with this string. One of them is you need to put a center serving to keep the arrow and your fingers from fraying the string. And I have a video that's I'm linking in the description on how to put a center serving on a string. What we're going to do is, now that we have our brand new string, we're going to put it on our bow. So I have the bow here. I'm just going to string it up. Alright, so here we go. Here's the bow strung up. Now let's see. Okay. So this is a bow square. Just to kind of so basically our brace height right now is 6.5 inches, which is a decent brace height. What's going to happen is that as the string stretches, it's going to probably lose just a little bit of brace height. So it's probably going to drop down to about 6.25, which is my personal starting point for bows. Now brace height is a topic in and of itself, and basically from here, once we put a center serving on this, we're going to have to tune the string and tune the bow, meaning by twisting the string and increasing the amount of twist in here, we're actually going to shorten the string, and we can manipulate the brace height that way. We can increase the brace height, or so I like starting at about 6.25. That's about as low as I go for the brace height, 6 inches to 6.25 inches. Anything below that and you're really going to start hitting the inside of your wrist. But that's fine too. There are benefits to shooting a really low brace height, and we'll talk about that. But this is a good starting point. So you see that by measuring the belly side of the bow and then making our string accordingly, we were able to get a good starting brace height. So that's more or less how this works. Now, what you need to do now is you can do a couple things. You can either take your string right now, put a center serving on it, and then go ahead and just shoot out a bunch of arrows, maybe 50 to 100 arrows, and that will let the string settle down to its finished amount of stretch. That way you can add a knocking point and it's not going to change. Another thing you could do is you could just leave it on the bow. It's PVC pipe bows can take it, so you just string it up. You leave it overnight, maybe a day. But if you were doing this, you just made the string, put it on the bow, just put the bow on the side, lay it down, and just let the string stretch out. Another thing you could do is you could take the string, place it on a hook, and then suspend a 50-pound weight, 20 to 50-pound weight on the bottom loop. Whichever works for you. But as of right now, here's our string. So just so you can get a good look at it. So that's our continuous loop string. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I'm going to be showing you guys how to tune a bow, how to get the brace height to what matches your bow, and how to set a knocking point later on. So we'll get to that, and after this I'll also show you guys different types of strings you can do using different materials, more non-standard materials. So just stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys later. Bye.